Hi everybody, and thanks for taking the time to watch this presentation. Today is a sales presentation on the Fanvil i10 series intercoms. The i10 series intercoms come in two basic models. The i10 itself is a audio only intercom. The i10V is audio and video. Both are SIP registration voice over IP. They're designed for indoor areas with an IP54 rating. They support wall mount insulation. They combine security, audio, video intercom, and multicast broadcasting to be able to be applied to various applications and solutions for your end customers, as we'll go through this presentation. Both the i10 and the i10V support two modes of powering them. You can either use a PoE switch or an external power pack. If you're in a situation where you need emergency power, I would suggest that you use a UPS that will either A, power the PoE switch or PoE injector that is driving the unit, or will power the external power pack. Here we've got two pictures of, a picture of each of the units. On the left hand side here we have got your i10. Basically small profile. We've got your main speaker, a dial answer button here. We can answer a call or make a call using this button, as well as having the auto answer. The difference between the two is on the right hand side here we've got our i10V and the extra camera just sitting here, IP camera, so that you can actually see who's actually come up to the door. You can dial and answer by the press of a button. Both units will multicast, e.g. receive paging. You can also set them up as a peer-to-peer, so they can dial directly to end phones or video compatible phones, such as the Fanvil X6, 210 or the X7 series phones. And of course the units are also SIP registration. You can use peer-to-peer or multicast as indicated before. The profile of these units is quite small, as you can see, 85mm just across the top, 85, so square unit with 30mm deep. It is of plastic construction with a silver outside here and with black speaker surround. If we disassemble the unit, we were talking earlier about the powering and how we can power it with the external power supply or PoE. So if we look at here, number one, this is your network cable, and that can either be PoE or just plain network. We've got number two here, which is a 12 volt input. So there's a little terminal here, screw terminal, that just clips on to these pins. And if we had 12 volts there, 1 amp input, as you can see from the table, that would then power the unit. Number three is our short circuit, these are our output devices on either normally closed or normally open, so you've got the three options there. So we would use that to connect to a power supply and the lock mechanism if you wanted to open a door, etc. And when you triggered the unit to open it, it would close the relays, or if the case they had to be opened, they would open the relays. And number four is used for another inputs for triggering the unit via an external short if necessary. So where we're going to use these? At a glance, you would simply say, well, this is just a small entry intercom that we'd use for door phones. Well, let's use a little bit of imagination here and actually look at some of the applications that these type of units have been used in. So first of all, you've got your unattended reception. So if you've got a reception area that is unattended, either over a lunch period or simply nowadays, you've got a lot of either a foyer area where people walk into, walk into and there's no one fully always 24/7 manning it, or even during the day manning it. So you add an i10 unit there, and any customers that come up can press the call button. Now, this will actually, depending on the setup that you have, it can either ring an internal group of extensions on your soft switch or cloud-based server, and you can then make them ring in different day and night scenarios, or you can actually make it ring an external number. In this particular situation, you can use either the i10, which is the audio unit, or the i10V, which is for video, so you can actually see who's there. Let's look at a medical centre, examination rooms, doctor's rooms, etc. So we've got an area where our patient's going to be. We have got our family, etc. with them. If we don't have a nurse call unit in there because it's just a examination room, these can be quite handy if you put an i10 in there for any emergency or extra communication that the patient may need or family may need. So they can call for assistance they need to, or they can actually receive a call from the doctor or the nurse station saying that the doctor will be there shortly, or just to advise them what's any updates. So in this particular case, we could have the i10 actually auto answering, giving a tone as it answers, and then the nurse can speak, etc. Also, we could have a multicast message, so if there's any emergency in the building, we can receive messages through it in regards to either a nurse paging saying they need to evacuate, or any information they need to give the whole building. The unit can use as a paging unit. It's not like an amplified paging, but it is quite clear and concise. Your traditional door access. In today's environment, you've got a lot of, shall we say, people taking advantage of people's distraction. They might just shoot inside the door, go into an office that is unattended and uplift product, equipment, or even someone's wallets, purses, cell phones, etc. In a larger building or multi-story building, we used to call them stair dancers, where it's just basically unauthorized people accessing your building when perhaps they shouldn't be. So, in this case, we could use the i10, again, video or audio. So if anybody comes up to the door, they press it, ring a number of phones. The people can answer it, ask what they want, whether it be a courier or a visitor to the building who's authorized. They can then dial a post-digit code, for example 0, and that would trigger the relay to unlock the door. Also, of course, remember, we can have on the i10V we can have video, so we can actually display video on the phone that answers. The video, for example, on an X6 or an X7 or even a Fanvil X210. The video is standard on these phones, so when the phone rings and they answer, the video will actually also be displayed. So, as your traditional door security, a good option. Let's look at classrooms and lecture rooms. Okay, in schools today, really it's a little bit of a health and safety issue for teacher safety and student safety, and so it's a simple unit that's going to be sitting on your wall or in any area in the classroom, and it can be simply a push button to call. Okay, again, you can use the video and or the voice unit depending on what you want to do, but basically if there's any incident that happens in the lecture room or classroom, the teacher or lecturer can press a button and they will be heading through to the administration office and can notify them of what's going on in the room. In turn, the administration or anyone in the school office area who want to talk to this particular lecture room or room can dial the intercom unit if it's on a SIP extension, and it can auto answer and or just ring until somebody presses the answer button. So it's like having a phone in a room where nobody can just pick up and do toll fraud or steal the unit, or just make a whole heap of phone calls that can only receive and make certain calls. We have also got paging options if we want to put notifications through, but I would point out that this unit isn't a replacement for a full-blown paging unit. Um, if you do want a paging unit from a Fanvil perspective, have a talk to Everlea, but the Fanvil i10 would be a far better solution for just a paging unit. So look at it from a health and safety perspective of having teachers and or students in the room, and if anything goes wrong, medical emergency, disruption, fight, in a lockdown scenario with the school's locked down, they can communicate within the school and see what's going on and seek advice, etc. Um, a good, solid, all-rounded little solution, that one. Moving on, warehouse and retail stores. So, what can we use the i10 for in here? Basically, we can look at either a push button for help points or customer service points. We can, so if the customers are wandering around some of these large shops are like super shops, and the staff can be spread throughout these shops, and don't uh, your customers don't actually know where a staff member is. So if they need assistance for any reason, they can go up, press the button, and it will ring the centralized operator or ring a group of phones, whatever the particular shop wants to happen. It can also be used for unattended service desks, and also think of it from a health and safety perspective. If there's a number of call points throughout the store, that staff know that if there's any incidents that are happening within the store that then they need help, they can actually get to one of these points and press it, and it will automatically dial off, being hands-free. And again, you've got your video options. So from a number of service perspective from customers, you can use it in this situation, or again, it can be a health and safety and emergency call scenario. Factories, manufacturing, and warehousing. So again, we could use the i10s as help help points if there's any incidents on the factory floor, where there might be an emergency on one of the machines, and someone needs to contact the operations center to get help, etc. We can have them at machine operation points, and we can actually have them, as I said, as emergency phones for notifications of accidents, etc. So from that perspective, it's a health and safety, but also in some of the warehousing, we have bond areas. These bond areas are secure areas, and it might be that one of the staff need to get into this area. I'd give an example where, for example, we may have alcohol is always a good one, a desirable product to go missing. So on the gates of the bond area, we may have the unit where we can press. When a staff want to go in, they have to register as they go in, and they can be seen on camera or not. But then there is an office that's actually controlling the entry and exit of people into that bonded area. From a customs area, same perspective. When goods are locked away and not released from customs, and we're talking high value small items here that are easy to tend to grow legs, shall we say? So so in your factory's manufacturer area, again, we're just talking about a small, simple intercom unit, but again, it's got many applications if we're going to apply it into this environment. Hospitals and corridors. Now, I know a lot of you have probably wandered through a hospital, and some of these corridors are long and lonely. And particularly at night, when a lot of staff and a lot of patients and people aren't wandering around the hospital there, these corridors can be a little bit daunting for staff who are walking between buildings and or are on a floor which isn't populated, shall we say, at night. is a good example. So again, from a health perspective, we can have a push button for help points, emergency points, or even accident points, etc., or into a secure area within the hospital. So again, any application that you'd like to use from a perspective of a health and safety, or people in an area where they could be alone, could be attacked, or just need a help point, I would look at using an i10 as at least as an entry level, and particularly with the video. It starts to, and used in the right application, you can see actually what's happening in that situation, in that area. The unit could be put anywhere on the halls, down the end of the halls, so they can actually see down the halls, etc. AED stations. Now we're getting a lot more of these little units, which are great. They save lives. Basically, if someone has a heart attack, we can open up the AED box and pull out a defibrillator and monitor and heart monitor, etc. They are wonderful. A lot of organisations have them in their factories or office areas, etc. So they're easily accessible. So, but what if an accident does happen, or if someone has a heart attack and the AED is used? By having a i10 intercom unit next to it, it's small, it's discreet, and if anyone needs assistance or help, they can just press the button. It'll automatically call whoever it needs to call, and then you've got a hands-free system where people can actually talk while they're dealing, or talk and tell the management and or the building custodians what's actually happening, and they can get extra help down there. Medical stations, and this could be in factory, manufacturing, anywhere you might have an eye wash area or an emergency assembly point or anything along those lines. Again, if any assistance is needed, it's a health and safety issue, it's staff safety. By having an i10 near these areas that you may need assistance, you can simply push the button, and again, assistance can be called for. The i10 series can be installed on SIP voice over IP lines, SIP servers, or peer-to-peer. It can be a local IPPX installed in the site, or it can be a cloud environment. When it comes down to these units, they're actually very, very cost effective. Matter of fact, probably around about the same price as a standard voice over IP phone, an entry level voice over IP phone. So really, you can start applying these throughout an organisation or building at a very cost-effective manner. So, for more information, contact us, and we can talk about more of the applications that these units that you could use these units for. We can discuss pricing, etc., and they will help enhance your customers' end-user experience. If you have any questions, please contact us.